Eddie G. TV. Eddie G TV. Eddie G TV. Eddie G TV. Eddie G TV. Alright, boom, this is Eddie G TV. We got Mike Carr, my guest, right here. You got your book. Show him the book.
Canadian Alternative and Indie. It's a collection of over 950 alternative and indie artists. Mostly all rock, but there's a bit of country, there's a bit of jazz, that's about it. It's basically a collector's and reference guide. So I mean, if you're out on the hunt for new music, this basically makes the perfect YouTube companion.
Right.
You can go through it. As you can see here, it's the 3D effect. It's all full color. Makes a great coffee table book too. So
nice.
All alphabetically listed, and
Okay, so how does one go about publishing a book?
Well, for me, it was a bit of a journey. When I started the idea, I was working on my drafts, and I sent it off to about 5 different publishers.
Okay.
Which all rejected me. At that point, I know others have gone on and keep going with different publishers, but I just said the hell with it and decided to go my own route. So it's all been a learning curve on how to do all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after that, so how'd you did you have to get it all made yourself?
Yeah. The layout, the editing, the cover, the back cover, even right down to the ISBN number, which you have to apply to the government to get.
Yeah.
So I went through all that.
So how long ago did you start?
Started researching.
Yeah.
And that about 5 years ago.
Okay.
So during that time, I would say I've collected about over 12,000 album covers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a lot of fun, but I was just about ready to give up on it, and I said, just for the hell of it, because I was getting rejected by all these publishers. I said, just for the hell of it, I'm going to send a snapshot off to Alan Cross.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know Alan Cross, he is probably the music authority in Canada. He's been on radio with The Edge, The Ongoing History of New Music.
Okay.
He has a blog now as well, a journal of musical things. And so I thought, what the hell, I got nothing to lose. So I sent this snapshot off to him, and he wrote back to me and he said, wow, this is awesome. Very cool stuff. So that was kind of the that's all I needed to motivation, I guess, to keep going.
So you decided to put all the bands in alphabetical order?
Yeah, it's all alphabetically listed, so
okay,
it makes it easy to find, and
By artist or by
by artist?
By artist.
Okay. Yeah.
And are there albums by year after that?
It's this is right up to date as of August 2018. So basically, any albums that the artist had released up to that point would be included in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as far as Canadian music, who are some of your favorite?
My favorite
Canadian bands.
Well, Tragically Hip, Our Lady Peace. There's a few in here, and then there's some that aren't, like Rush, and I can go way back to Bachman Turner Overdrive, the Guess Who. There's just so many, and I found once I started digging into this, there was so much I didn't know about Canadian music.
Yeah.
And so it's been kind of an eye-opener, and once in a while you run across a band too that you start listening to the music even though you'd never heard of the band, but what would get my attention is the fact, this band has released 10 albums and I've never heard of them.
Yeah.
So I start listening to the music, and okay, this is pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I seen the Tragically Hip at a free show in Niagara when they did the free shows for New Year's.
Yeah.
And they were great. I think that was 04 or 04 or 05, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were great. And yeah, Rush, like I remember my old roommate, he used to just like, sometimes because I worked days at the time and he worked afternoons.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and he'd just have that CD just cranked. And like so I wasn't really into it because of that. And I remember one time I just came out of my room and just snapped the CD, and I was like I'm not having this. But I bet you now I could probably like listen to it and enjoy it. But I don't know how many times I woke up in the middle of the night and he was just cranking like Rush.
Well, a lot of music is an acquired taste.
Oh, for sure.
You don't necessarily have to like a band. You may appreciate them, but you don't necessarily have to like them. And I find that even with all the research that I do, I appreciate the fact they're Canadian. They give their effort. They give out their all. I may not like their music.
Well, even like being an artist, myself, and seeing when like people make it, it's like I know how much it takes to go into that. So like even if I don't like their music, I appreciate their grind because I know what a lot goes into that. For instance, like the one guy DJ Khaled just came out.
Right.
And the thing is, a lot of people, there's a lot of memes, and it says he just yells DJ Khaled on the songs, but they don't know like he sits with the producers. He says, okay, I want this person to play drums, I want this person to come in and play bass, and he gets his different features, and he really like organizes the tracks but yeah, like some people will just say. Like a lot of people just see the outside and see like all these artists make it out of nowhere. Meanwhile, like it takes years sometimes.
Yeah, well, I'm seeing now that I've kind of gone into promoting a lot of Canadian artists, like not personally, but I mean subjectively, I guess, through Facebook and Twitter. I'm kind of in contact with a lot of these bands, and I'll give you a plug on my website and my pages, and for the most part, most of them appreciate it, and even for the ones that have been around for a while, they'll get back to you and say, hey Mike, thanks for the plug. I really appreciate it.
Do you ever go to the shows?
Unfortunately, working Tuesday to Saturday kind of puts a damper on things.
Yeah.
If there's a Saturday or a Sunday matinee and it's close, I would try and make it. Went to a blues show at Jeffrey's place here in Brantford.
Okay, Jeffrey's. Is that by the train station?
Used to be the Liquid Lounge. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's up by there. I thought it was one by the train station.
But there was a really decent blues show on there. Jerome Godbout was there. Dave Curry from the Mighty Duck Blues Band, and then Dwayne LaForme's Boogie Blues Band.
Nice.
So it was a really cool afternoon. I actually got to meet Jerome and Dave Curry, been in contact with them now.
So what would you say is your favorite genre of music? Rock, blues?
Well, my favorite is probably alternative rock.
Alternative rock, yeah.
Yeah. I used to be diehard classic rock, but I mean, radio's gotten to the point where you're just hearing the same classic rock tunes over and over and over, right?
For sure.
And, I mean, I grew up with that stuff, and I really appreciate it, but okay, I need something new. So I don't know, about 20 years ago, I kind of switched over to alternative rock.
Yeah.
And that's in the Nirvana, Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots days.
Yeah.
So I kind of got into that stuff, and
I was a big fan of Nirvana when I was younger.
Yeah.
And Korn.
Yeah.
That's actually how I got into listening to hip hop, because I bought the Korn VHS.
VHS.
The Family Values tour.
Okay.
And Ice Cube was on there. I got introduced to hip hop through there, and I was like, oh, this guy's really good. So then I started listening more, and that's how.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
Other than alternative rock, I'd say blues now has become my second favorite, and that's kind of the book that I'm working on now. Is Canadian blues.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So
hope to have that done for early next year.
So you said some of your favorites. The Tragically Hip.
Yeah.
What is it about the Tragically Hip that makes it one
Well, for me, it was Canadian, and then when I got introduced to them about, oh my God, probably 30 years ago. Just the first time I heard them, I said, "Wow, this is good stuff."
Yeah.
And it just hooked me.
Okay. Okay.
You know, because sometimes you'll hear a tune, and you know, it might take you 10 times till you actually say, "Wow, I really like that now." Didn't care for it when it first came out, but now that I've heard it a few times, yeah, it kind of grows on you. And I think radio does that too. Like, you'll hear the same songs over and over. It's
of course, yeah.
Okay, so it's got drilled into me, and okay, now I can say, yeah, I do like it.
Yeah.
You know?
Me personally, I don't listen to radio very very often.
Yeah.
But for hip hop, our Canadian radio stations aren't very good. They don't play a lot of the I think they gotta play a certain amount of Canadian stuff, so they just flood it with Drake.
Yeah. Well, lately I'm not into streaming, but I do have Stingray music at home. That's not a plug for Stingray. It just happens to be a fact. So, but they do have a lot of commercial-free channels that are part of the basic cable package, and I found that okay, this is kind of cool. Because I'm getting a lot of Canadian content, which I appreciate because that's where a lot of my research is coming from. So I'll sit down and listen to the blues channel, and you know, I'll hear a new artist come up and say, "Hey, I've never heard of that guy before." So now I'm looking him up and see, oh, he's Canadian too. All right,
yeah.
And then you do more research on him. Wow, he's done 5 albums.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, okay, now you're part of my book. Guess what?
I found for me finding new artists, and you don't really see this in other genres, but like in hip hop, like I'd buy a CD of one of my favorite artists, and they'd have another rapper like featuring on there, and like sometimes I wouldn't know that rapper, but then when that song comes on, I'm like, oh, I like that song.
Yeah.
So, but what do you think it is like where bands just like mostly like don't have a lot of other artists featuring on their albums?
I think they probably just prefer their solo stuff, or it could be the simple fact that they just haven't reached out to another artist to say, hey, would you guest on my album?
Yeah.
I think that's basically it, because most musicians, as far as I know, would say, yeah, I'd love to be part of your album.
Yeah.
You know, especially if he thinks that particular artist has any talent.
Oh, for sure. Like,
yeah.
I think that'd be great for the genre of, like, some of like the big bands, like the singer will come and do like a part on another band's song. I think that'd be great. Like I said, that's how I found out about a lot of hip hop artists, because a lot of hip hop artists work together and they feature each other.
I think you find that in hip hop more than any other genre.
Yeah,
that,
for sure.
The artists kind of feature each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that for bands out there watching, I think that'd be a great idea.
Reach out and just ask the question. You know?
Right.
A lot of the guys would be willing to do it for nothing. Just ask them.
Okay. So, I know as far as American stuff with the Grammys, like I find in the categories that I pay attention to, that they don't really get it right. But the Junos, how do you feel about like the Junos gets it right?
I don't think so. I mean, kudos to the bands that win Junos and the individual artists. I mean, great for them. I think the Junos try to be politically correct. And by that
I think the Grammys do too.
By that I mean, yeah, exactly. And by that I mean, okay, so we have an artist, Canadian artist. His name is Jeremy Dutcher.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's indigenous, kind of a folk rock kind of genre.
Okay.
But he's been making really huge inroads in Canada, and probably the rest of the world by now as an artist to be reckoned with. But I don't know if half of that is because he's indigenous, or is it because he's just a really good musician,
or both.
or both. I would hope both.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the judges, I'm not really sure how the judges are selected, but there's got to be some background in politics to it, I would think.
I think in a lot of things there's always politics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really pay attention to the Junos that much, or the Grammys. I decide what I like. I don't listen to the radio. I don't listen to. I watch a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
With like the platforms that I study, because I do interviews. I want to study other platforms, and then I see the guests on there, and that's another way of finding new artists.
Yeah.
But I got a list of some of the artists that I've seen that are in your book, and I just want to say a little thing about each one.
Okay.
So,
sure.
Alanis Morissette.
Alanis Morissette.
What do you think of her?
Wow, Jagged Little Pill back in early '90s, right? Yeah, kind of made it for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for her though. I mean, that was, and she's still playing.
So Our Lady Peace. Our Lady Peace.
Another one. Wow, just they're a phenomenal band.
Not much to say. Just like, yeah, they're great. Okay.
Well, I don't. It's hard to, say, well, this band is better than that band, or. And I see you got Broken Social Scene down there.
Yeah.
That's been one of my favorite bands for years, ever since their first album. So, I've never seen a live show of theirs, but I've watched tapes, and their class is a collective, an alternative collective. And when they have a full show with all the members, there's like 12 in the band. And,
that's
and each one is like talented, like beyond words. And there's a lot of them that have also done solo work.
Yeah. Well, like I was just seen like one of my favorite groups, the Wu-Tang Clan. They got 9 members, and they're just doing a documentary, and they're talking about the splits.
Right.
And I could imagine with 12 members. Like they have 9, and they were having problems with the splits.
Yeah.
I can remember. I can imagine with 12, like the splits would be like.
Oh, it's got to be
insane.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Right. So where can people get the book?
Well, being a solo guy, we're not in any bookstores. You can get it at rockmyworldcanada.ca. Just click on the print button and it'll take you right to the page.
Okay.
All right.
So, what was like was there a certain moment, like, or something that happened that made you really want to get like a, being unprofessional with my phone on, for me, like when my dad really thinks this is the moment for I went down to Branson, Missouri with him. He's a tour bus driver.
Yeah.
And it's a city with a bunch of it's a tourist city, and they have a bunch of shows and a bunch of different things happening. And we went to the shows, and he said when I was like 9, and he said like when the show started, like my eyes just like got glued to, like I was just like super focused on it. And then when I came back, I was like I wanted to check out, I wanted to start buying CDs, and I wanted to start like. So was there a moment like in like you were like I really want to I really like music, and
For me, it was like a kid when I was growing up. I never really followed the mainstream stuff. I mean, you had radio, but that was about all you had unless you went out and bought albums. But to first hear music, the radio was your only option.
Yeah.
And that's where you heard new stuff. And I'm talking back early 60s, right?
Yeah.
So I think for me, it was a little different because when other kids my age were listening to the radio, it was basically top 40 stuff. And when I actually started buying albums, I was getting into bands like The Doors and Janis Joplin and Iron Butterfly and stuff that was outside the mainstream. And that was my driver. I said, okay, this is really setting the tone for me.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned The Doors, like my mom and my stepdad are huge on The Doors. Like they really like them.
Yeah.
And as far as like bands back then, I'd say they're probably my favorite band from back then.
Yeah.
The Doors.
Well, I mean, you can't leave out the Beatles either. 'Cause I was introduced to the Beatles back in '63 when they first came out. I think I was 8 years old, and it was our babysitter that brought over a Beatles album for us to listen to. I said, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, things for listening to music are so different. Like nowadays, like I remember, like I said, when I came back after that thing, and I started buying CDs and stuff like that, and tapes. The only like internet, like I remember like early internet days of like the band would just have a website on the bottom of the thing, and you go to it, there'd be a couple pictures, and one song would play.
Yeah, if you were lucky. Yeah.
If you were lucky, then most of them just had pictures on there.
Yeah.
But it's a whole different ball game now. Like now with streaming and
streaming seems to be the king right now.
Yeah.
But what makes me happy is that vinyl's coming back. You're actually starting to see independent record stores reopen again.
Yeah, I like that too. And like vinyl has like kind of like what they say, like a warm sound. Like
they do, yeah.
Like because like what we're listening to on these streaming services are compressed like files like in MP3s.
Yeah, it's just canned. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's just like fast food. Like the vinyl, you can really hear it, like, and like you can even tell the difference of playing from a tape or a CD compared to like I can really tell the difference of like when you listen to it on a CD when it's mixed right, and then when it
and you know what, if you've really got a decent sound system and you want to be an audiophile, there is nothing better than the sound you get from vinyl.
Right.
And I can totally put up with the snap, crackle, and pop at the start of an album.
Yeah.
But once it starts and it's clean, and man, you can just disappear.
For sure.
While that's on, and it's just, wow, this is heaven.
For sure. Yeah. So so how long has the book been out?
I released it in August of last year.
Okay.
So it's been around a bit, and I don't expect to get rich off of it. I did it because this is something that
you're passionate about.
I'm passionate about it. Yeah. It's not. I'm not there for the money. I mean, if I make some money, hey, great. But I'm certainly not gonna. It's not going to be a bestseller, and I know that.
Yeah.
And it's funny. A bestseller in Canada is like 5,000 copies. That's a bestseller.
Yeah.
So I'm like 4,950 away from that. So I'm on my way.
Okay, so doing the research for all these different bands, where do most of the bands come from? Like Ontario.
It's kind of split up between Toronto and Vancouver.
Those two are
a lot
the big...
of Montreal, but they're right across Canada and from small towns that nobody's ever heard of. Which is great. And like the one thing that I do include here is where each band comes from.
Awesome, yeah.
So,
because even not so much now, but like in for 90s hip hop, like when a song would come on, you could kind of tell okay, this guy's from the West Coast or this guy's from the East Coast. Or
you could tell that
by the style of production and the and the way they rapped and the in the different things different words they would use.
Yeah.
You could tell.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I could tell that, but hey.
I don't know, as a hip hop head and learning, hearing so much of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a thing. So Toronto, Vancouver are probably the two big ones.
Yep, and then Montreal, and there's a lot of Ottawa bands. Winnipeg's another one.
That's the thing with the internet, because before, you had to go to the big markets. Yeah. You had to go to a record label in Toronto, or you had to go to Vancouver.
Yeah.
Now these guys in these small towns can just make their music, click for it to upload, and there they go.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, what's interesting now too is that a lot of the indie bands, as I call them, are going without labels, without any management. They're doing everything themselves, marketing and booking their tours and what have you, paying for their own albums to be pressed, and
in the long run, that is a better. I say it's a better choice, but
it's great that you got more control. The downside is you really don't get the exposure that a publicist or a label can give you.
Yeah, and also you gotta focus on all your marketing and everything too. With a label, and when them doing all the other kind of stuff, you can kind of focus just on the music.
Yeah, it kind of takes your, I guess, your drive away, because now you're giving up your music temporarily to focus on marketing and Facebook updates and Twitter updates and Instagram and all that stuff takes a lot of time. And then you've got to go out and tour and promote yourself. So
nowadays, every so much music coming out, you got to be consistent. Now, years ago, people would drop an album once a year, once every 2 years.
Yeah.
And now a lot of people are dropping albums every 6 months.
Seems to be that way. I ran across one guy doing some research, and he was dropping an album every 3 or 4 months. Because when I started looking at his discography, I'm not going to mention the guy's name, but anyway, in a period of 5 years, he'd released 50 albums. And I said, "This is ridiculous!"
Yeah, that's too much.
It is
that's way too much.
Yeah, I wasn't going to sit there and criticize him, but really, man.
Some of those albums probably aren't as good as other ones, for sure.
Yeah, they'd be lucky to make it for a soundtrack in an elevator, I'm sure. But anyway, that's what I said. I'm not going to mention the guy's name because,
funny. Is there any last things to say to the people before we wrap this up?
No, if you get a chance to check out the book, please do so. 3D again. So there we go. And you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Just look up Rock My World Canada. And like I said, my website, rockmyworldcanada.ca. And maybe we can do this again.
Awesome, awesome.
We'll do the blues.
Okay, we had a little cut out there, but we were just wrapping it up anyway. So, yeah, make sure you check out the book. Make sure you check out more Eddie G TV. And, yeah, we out.
All right.
Peace.
Thanks for having me.